Like a lot of enthusiasts, I grew up listening to my dad talk about rally cars and all things rallying. The Lancia Stratos, the Mini Cooper, the Porsche 911, and this, the Alpine A110. Now, this thing wiped the board in the 1971 Monte Carlo rally, and it actually went on to win the WRC overall in 1973. But how do you equate that with a 50 grand sports car in 2018, particularly one from a brand that disappeared for some 20 years? Well, you do it properly, with a car that looks amazing, has the engine in the middle, and the rear wheels driven. Welcome to the 21st century Alpine A110. It's here to bring Alpine kicking and screaming into the 21st century with a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox and a 1.8-litre turbocharged motor that kicks out 249 brake horsepower and 236 pounds-foot of torque. That may not sound like much, but it weighs just 1,103 kilos. That's getting on for 300 kilograms less than a PDK Porsche Cayman, by the way. And that means that it'll crack the 0-62 run in 4.5 seconds. And we don't mention the Porsche Cayman for no reason. This, when it gets to the UK, is going to cost around about 50 grand. Now, pricing hasn't been confirmed, but it's going to be bang on Porsche 718 territory, and that means that this 21st century Alpine has got a lot to prove. Alpine got its start in the 50s using modified Renaults to go racing, but it wasn't until the 60s and the A110 that the Alpine we know and love came into its own. The A110 was rear-engined and rear-wheel drive, and while it came with modest power, it was light, nimble and capable of taking down giants. Alpine's Renault connection of old wasn't merely using the latter's motors as a basis for greatness. Parts sharing, collaboration and eventually acquisition meant Alpine and Renault would forever be linked. But by the mid-90s, the Alpine dream was apparently over. Until now. Its first car couldn't be anything other than the A110. It looks kind of like the original, though more puffed up, but put the two side by side and you can't really miss the family resemblance. And, crucially, it looks like nothing else out there. It's properly distinctive in the modern sports car landscape. It's also usefully narrow at just 1.8 metres wide, and we think it looks fantastic. But enough of all that. What does it drive like? Do you know what? What it reminds me of? It's like if McLaren did a 50 grand car, this is what it would feel like. And it's all because of that weight. I mean, the engineering is astonishing. So saving all that weight, you've got fully aluminium construction and you've got double wishbones, front and back, and you've got 44/56 rear bar weight distribution, which any enthusiast will know is just about perfect. So the centre of gravity is right here, just in between me and the passenger, and that is absolutely ideal for a mid-engine car. And the layout of this car means that they've actually got the fuel tank at the front, so it's not an easy car to manufacture, but it just shows so well in the way it handles. And it does sound pretty good. The steering does have two settings, so it's got a sports setting and a normal setting. Maybe it's a little bit too light in normal, maybe it could be a little bit more textural, but blimey, it's just wonderful. It's got this really lovely sort of silkiness to it, which suits the car because there's a real fluidity to the whole car, the way it goes down the road, the way that suspension just soaks up the road surface. And the engine? Well, alright, I know we all want 6-cylinder longitudinal engine, all of that stuff. I think this engine is really good. I think it really suits the car. It's got this kind of rambunctious, kind of terrier-like need to be revved, and it's got some, nearly 7,000 rev line, and it's got a really nice linear delivery as well. And the 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, yes, we all want a manual gearbox to an extent, but I have to say, even though this is related to the Clio gearbox, which has all kinds of bad memories, this does a really good job. So, it's a wet clutch, it shifts quickly, the paddles have got a really nice kind of satisfying click to them as well, so it's a really nice paddle shift. Is it as good as a PDK in a Porsche? No, it's not. But it really isn't bad at all. I mean, it fits this car wonderfully. And do you know what is critical? Is that this car is fun at normal road speeds. Finally, a car that's not too overpowered or too grippy, and you know, it's really fun. You don't have to absolutely thrash it. And I love that about it. This is a landmark car. So, I don't know how many Alpine owners are going to head out on track. Maybe quite a few. It feels like it certainly deserves it. As you can see, we have, hence the reason it looks like I'm being fired out of a cannon. And it's such a great little thing out on track. I mean, you know, it's a bit softer than a Cayman, but it's got a really nice front end, and the steering gives you loads of feel. It's just wicked fun. You can really, like, throw it around, and it's quite forgiving actually. I'd say it's a bit more progressive than a Cayman, definitely. You still have to boot it through a bit of understeer if you want to drift it, but blimey, it's good. I don't think I really need to say that I like this car. I've already said that it's a landmark car. I've said that it's a bit like a little mini McLaren, and man, that's a compliment. It's a bit more club car than a Cayman. It's a bit more livable than an Elise. It's just the car that enthusiasts have been after for ages. Alpine, you've nailed it in one. So, welcome back.